Unity announced that they're changing their fees and pricing models. Unity, if you're not familiar, is a game engine that is used by many developers. It's right up there with like Unreal Engine and all of those tools. So it's a big deal that they're doing this. Now, what did they change it to? Well, when they made the announcement yesterday, they announced that they are introducing new Unity runtime fees that are based on game installs. Okay, so they're going to take a fee every time a game is installed. Okay, that doesn't sound that bad. What platform would cause that to lead to hyper inflated numbers and fees? Game Pass. How many of us have Game Pass and download a game and we're like, oh, well, I'll get around to it. I'll just download it now and I'll have it on the console. I'll download it. And then we might play it for half an hour if we ever play it, right? This is seemingly a policy entirely designed to take advantage of that phenomenon where people want to just download the game, get it ready because it doesn't cost them anything to download it so they can try it for 10 minutes or whatever. But Unity now, they want to have it so that they can make their money every time a game is installed. As to whether it applies also to reinstalls is not clear. They define it as new installs. So I would assume that is per unique device. So like if something is installed on an Xbox and a PC and a Steam Deck, that would be 3 installs. And if you deleted it, reinstalled it, it would still be 3. That's my understanding. However, they've walked this back very quickly because the backlash was ungodly. Many studios saying, if you do this, like we cannot use Unity as an engine. We just can't. It doesn't work. You will cause us to stop development on our game, port everything over to Unreal Engine because this is so egregious. Oh, my name. No, wait, how did you start a YouTube video? How did you even do that? So, all of that said, they walked this back pretty quickly. They are rushing to clarify and to quell concerns today. They said that they are trying to clarify all of this. The new runtime fee announced Tuesday morning is tied to the player's installations of a game, an action that previously didn't cost developers anything. With Unity's new plan, the developers who use Unity's free tier of development services would owe Unity 20 cents per installation once their game hits thresholds of 200,000 downloads or earn 200,000 in revenue. Again, this mainly seems to be targeting small developers. And for 20 cents per installation, you might not think that's a big deal, but when you think that like Game Pass has 25 million users, that adds up quick. If you get 1% of the Game Pass user base to install your game, all of a sudden you'd be facing major fees. So it is a big deal. It's a big deal. Developers paying over $2,000 a year for the Unity Pro plan would have a bit high or have to hit higher thresholds and would be charged lower fees. So again, they're just trying to push them to pay for the licensing fees. So game developers rallying on X began fuming immediately that any game enjoying a spike in installations due to a big sale, inclusion in a charity bundle, or even just being included by a popular subscription service like Game Pass would trigger Unity's fees. Stop It, the developer studio Innersloth, or no, Stop It is what they said. Development studio Innersloth, makers of the hit Among Us, tweeted Tuesday evening, this would harden not only us, but fellow game studios of all budgets and sizes. Again, it seems to disproportionately harm small studios, which is what's particularly gross about it. Like, they're going after the little guy. It's not like they increased the licensing fees on Among Us by 2% or something. Like, they're going after the little guys. That's what's scummy about it. Another studio, Agro Crab, called on Unity to reverse its plans, saying that it feared that its next game set for release to the 25 million subscribers on Game Pass could incur fees that threaten the stability of our business. For real. Yeah, our core point with this, said the guys over at Unity, is simply to make sure that we have the right value exchange so that we can continue to invest in our fundamental mission to make sure that we can deliver the best tools for people to make great games. In other words, they're like, we're not making enough money right now. We want to make more money. So that's why we're doing this. It's not fun to get a bunch of angry feedback on any particular day. And I think that it is us needing to clarify some of these points, but we're listening and we will continue to make sure that we deliver the best that we can. And as for the specific posts, they said that they regrouped and now they're saying only the initial installation of the game triggers a fee. That apparently was not something clarified initially. So like I said, where they say new game installs, perhaps that was added later, that language of new. Previously, it seemed as though they could take advantage of individual installs, even if they were repeated. Demos mostly won't trigger fees. What the hell does mostly mean? I don't know what that, I mean, this word has a lot of weight in this sentence. So even demos, potentially, you could be facing fees from Unity for having a demo for your game that people play. Like, geez. And then they say devs are not on the hook for Game Pass. So they would have some way of verifying. And so they're walking that back. Still, I don't like this. The fact that demos could possibly incur fees, the fact that installs are where they're going to be charging, like, it should be based on what people are playing. Like, if they're playing the games, that's where they should pay. And I don't know if it works on like units sold or if it works on an hourly basis. I don't know. But this seems to be a policy primarily targeting small developers. And I just think that's scummy. Go after the big guys. Why are you going after the unit or the small guys? Yeah, the mostly word is what's really weird to me. The Unity CEO, John Riccitiello, I don't know. John, damn it, John, was EA CEO when FIFA 09 launched with loot boxes. Last year, he said, devs making games without monetization in mind are effing idiots. In an EA stockholder meeting, he entertained the idea of charging $1 to reload an ammo clip in Battlefield. This is the guy making these decisions. This is the guy that entertained the idea of charging $1 for reloading, that talked famously about how devs need to make games with monetization in mind from the very start. Like, he's not a gamer. He's not a guy that cares about the art form. He is just trying to maximize bottom lines. And that's that. CEO of Unity in late 2014. During his tenure, he's overseen 2 fundraising rounds, raising $181 million in 2016 and $400 in 2017. He also worked to get their engine into Oculus's software development kit. Let's see, where did he even start? He worked at Clorox and PepsiCo and worked as the managing director of the Häagen-Dazs division of the Grand Metropolitan. He was named president and CEO of Wilson Sporting Goods, as well as chairman of McGregor Golf. I don't even know who this is. He was the CEO of the Sara Lee Corporation. And then he joined EA in 1997. He's an old school guy that climbed the ladder at Clorox and Pepsi. That's where he got started. And then he moved into games and software in 97. It's like, this is just an old school corporate ladder climber. And, you know, he knew how to play the game, but this is not a gamer. This is not like, say what you will about Phil Spencer. He's a gamer. Like, yeah, he climbed the ladder at Xbox and he's clearly a talented businessman too. But he's a gamer and he cares about the gaming experience and he cares about gamers individually. This guy does not give two craps about you. Doesn't care about the small developers. He's just trying to maximize that bottom line at any cost. I think as an executive, you absolutely should be trying to maximize the bottom line. The bottom line, that's your duty as a CEO, is to maximize the bottom line and to provide more and more kickback to shareholders and stakeholders. But there has to be some balance. Like, you can't just be like, okay, now for the new iPhone 15, it's going to cost $30,000. Hold on, Miney, you're kicking stuff. You can't just do that, because that's insane. There has to be some balance to keep it in check. Because like, oh, well, if we do that, then these smaller people won't be able to afford it. Even though I could afford a $30,000 phone because I'm the CEO of this company, I'm not going to do that because most people aren't. Like it just screams of being out of touch. Really random selection of CEO positions. I will say, having met with and spoken to CEOs of big companies here in Colorado back when I was in real estate, they overwhelmingly, it's usually because they know a guy that got them the job. And they're all like, you look at this, he went to Berkeley and the Haas School of Business out of Berkeley, where you can meet a lot of people, made some connections. And then he went and he served on a bunch of boards as a member of the board of directors, but he also climbed the ladder at Clorox and Pepsi. And then he went and served as managing director of Haagen-Dazs. And then he was named president of a sporting goods company, probably because he knew a guy that was on the board and they got him, connected. And then he was chairman of McGregor Golf, probably because he met somebody when he was at the sporting goods company. And then he went from there and served at Sara Lee's Corporation, probably because he met somebody while golfing. And, then they all know each other and then they shift. And he joins EA because he knew somebody from his time, working on the golf company. Like, all of this is so incestuous, and it's just people bouncing from company to company. A lot of them serve as members of the board of directors on various different companies. Like, it was one of the things that was surprising that when we were trying to figure out if ZeniMax was going to sell before that whole thing was revealed, we found that on the list of board of directors was actually Donald Trump's brother. And Trump's brother was almost like entirely his career was being on boards and serving as a member of the board of directors. And then he would just bounce from company to company, and he was on a bunch of them. And, it's because he had investments with them. And some people can be elected to a board of directors and they aren't even necessarily a majority shareholder. But once they're on the board of directors, they're getting to participate in major decisions. So, of course, then they're going to increase their wealth that way. And it's all just about who you know. Like, it's shockingly about who you know. He took my thing.